KCBS All News Radio and KPIX 5 Television, this is the CBS Bay Area Spelling Bee Regional Finals, broadcasting live on sister station KBCW 44, Cable 12, and streaming live on the KPIX Facebook page.
Good afternoon and welcome to the CBS 2018 Bay Area Regional Spelling Bee. I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Sharon Chin. In the KPIX studios with us today are 44 spellers aged 8 to 14. Just one will walk away with the title champion.
Yeah.
That speller will represent the Bay Area at the Scripps National Spelling Bee in Washington, D.C.
It was not easy for the students to get this far. Remember, each one of them had to win their local school bee.
And then all of them earned a top score among 189 who took a written test last month at Berkeley's Lawrence Hall of Science. They had to spell 50 words, and the top 2 spellers didn't miss a single word.
So here's how today will go. We have 3 judges. Each one of the judges is going to, ascertain whether or not the word was spelled correctly. And each judge is a former national champion. And we will begin by introducing you to them. We're welcoming back Stephanie Pettit, champion in 1987. Today she is an attorney. And also we're welcoming back Dan Greenblatt. Dan's a champion from 1984. Now he is a computer software engineer and a voice actor. And Wendy's coming back as well. Wendy Lay, champion in 1996, is a middle school math teacher.
Now, a judge will ring the bell to indicate a word was not spelled correctly, and that means that the speller is out of the competition. You will see the correct spelling of the word on your screen, but no one here in the studio is going to see that.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, our official pronouncer, the man with the most dangerous job. He is in control of the room I do not envy, the great KCBS morning news anchor Stan Bunger, who will now explain the rules. Stan?
Brian, thank you. You've been way too kind as always. And I do need to preface this by saying that my KCBS radio colleague Jason Brooks was the pronouncer for that written bee, and he tells me we have the strongest crop he's ever seen. So another round of applause, please, from all the family and the spellers for the quality of this year's competition. My job's actually fairly simple here today. What I'm here to do is to toss the word out to the speller so the speller can take a swing at it. And to do that, I follow the diacritical markings in the Scripps National Spelling Bee word list. It's that simple. I don't freelance. I don't pronounce the word the way I think it should be pronounced or perhaps the way you think it should be pronounced. I pronounce it the way the Scripps National Spelling Bee word list, which is drawn from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, has the word for me to pronounce. There may be alternate pronunciations. I will give the preferred pronunciation. You can ask if there are alternates, and I'll give them to you if there are. You can ask for a few things, but not many. Here's what spellers can ask for. They can ask for a definition. They can ask for the part of speech, for the language of origin, and for any alternate pronunciations. I will always give the word. I will always use it in a sentence, and then give the word again before the speller's asked to spell it. And that's how it works. It's fairly simple, as Brian and Sharon explained. Our judges' decisions are final. If they hear the word spelled correctly, you'll hear silence from them. If they hear it spelled incorrectly, somebody want to ring a bell so we hear what a bell sounds like? You'll hear that. And with that, I think we're ready to begin the bee. Let's have speller number 1 approach the microphone, please. If you'll identify yourself and your school, we'll ask all the spellers to do that during the first round.
My name is Chanel Chu, and I am from EDS, Easterbrook Discovery School.
The word is orchard. The apple orchard is spectacular in the spring when the trees are in bloom. Orchard.
Orchard. O-R-C-H-A-R-D. Orchard.
I'm Nidhi Vadlamudi, and I'm from Stratford, Sunnyvale.
Your word is mongoose. The mongoose is a bold, tenacious predator. Mongoose.
Mongoose. M-O-N-G-O-O-S-E. Mongoose.
My name is Ryan Sullivan, and I attend St. Matthew's Episcopal Day School.
Netherlander. The yacht's crew included an Englishman, a German, and a Netherlander. Netherlander.
Can I have the definition?
A native or inhabitant of the Netherlands.
Netherlander, Netherlander, Netherlander.
Aziza Mohammed, and I'm from Granada Islamic School.
Ballerina. Although the ballerina seemed a bit nervous before her performance, her dancing was faultless. Ballerina.
Ballerina. Ballerina. Ballerina.
My name is Olivia King, and I'm from Donlin Elementary School.
Diplomat. The most senior diplomat residing in a foreign country is the ambassador. Diplomat.
Diplomat. Diplomat. Diplomat.
My name is Athena Lee. I'm from Wildwood Elementary School.
Balcony.
Balcony.
Tickets for seats in the balcony sold out before those for seats on the main level. Balcony.
Balcony. Balcony. Balcony.
My name is Dia Pillai from the school Faria Elementary.
Aquatic. Porpoises and seals are aquatic animals. Aquatic.
Aquatic. Aquatic. Aquatic.
My name is Benjamin Thayer, and I represent Sutra Elementary School.
Embargo. In defiance of the embargo, the captain eased his ship out of the harbor at night. Embargo.
Embargo. EMBARGO. Embargo.
My name is Mark Salama, and I'm representing Montessori de Terralinda.
Harmonica. Playing harmonica in a blues band is one of Ryan's spare time activities. Harmonica.
Harmonica. HARMONICA. Harmonica.
My name is Krishna Agarwal, and I'm from Leidixon Elementary School.
This word has a homonym, so I'll be giving you some additional information. The word is alderman. It is a noun. It means a member of a legislative body of a city. The mayoral candidate received the endorsement of the city's longest-serving alderman. Alderman.
Alderman. ALDERMAN. Alderman.
I'm Adrian Zhang. I'm from Challenger School, Ardenwood.
Canary. When the canary escaped in her living room, Susan put her cat outside until she found the bird. Canary.
Canary. CANARY. Canary.
My name is Prajwal Vandana, and I'm from Evergreen Elementary School.
Interrupt. Young children often interrupt because they've not yet learned to be considerate of others. Interrupt.
Interrupt. May I have the definition, please?
To break in with questions or remarks while another is speaking.
Interrupt. INTERRUPT. Interrupt.
I'm Anisha Rao, and I'm from Fallon Middle School.
Alcove. Silvio found an alcove in the library that was a perfect place for taking a nap. Alcove.
May I have the definition, please?
A recessed part as a breakfast nook of a room or a small room opening onto a larger one.
Alcove. ALCOVE. Alcove.
I'm Brandon Mattel, and I'm representing Laurel Elementary School.
Caboose. A chef bought the old caboose and converted it into a very popular diner. Caboose.
Caboose. CABOOSE. Caboose.
My name is Colette Kolodny from Albany Middle School.
Foyer. Joanne admired the large mobile hanging from the ceiling of the museum's foyer. Foyer.
Foyer. FOYER. Foyer.
My name is Evangeline Chen from James Lick Middle School.
Pretzel. Brian munched on a large pretzel as he watched his favorite television program. Pretzel.
Pretzel. Can I have the language of origin, please?
This word is from a word that went from Latin to German.
Pretzel. Pretzel. Pretzel.
My name is Arjit Ghoshal, and I'm from Rolling Hills Middle School.
Hurricane. When the townspeople realized that the hurricane was heading their way, they boarded up their windows and evacuated. Hurricane.
Hurricane. HURRICANE. Hurricane.
I'm Nolan Sims, and I'm from Gateway Middle School.
Discipline. Natasha's chosen discipline is European history of the 17th century. Discipline.
Discipline. DISCIPLINE. Discipline.
I'm Pranav Virupaksha, representing Joaquin Miller Middle School.
Safari. While on safari, Ariel photographed lions and elephants. Safari.
May I have the definition, please?
A hunting or other expedition in East Africa, especially on foot.
Safari. SAFARI. Safari.
I'm Urja Vaidya, and I'm representing Pleasanton Middle School.
This word has a homonym. I'll provide additional information. The word is baton, a noun that means a club used as a weapon, especially a police officer's billy. When Donna graduated from the police academy, her father gave her the baton he had carried as a young patrol officer. Baton.
Baton. What's the language of origin?
It's from a French word.
Baton. BATON. Baton.
I'm Rian Shetty, and I'm representing Encinal Elementary School.
Geothermal. Geothermal heat pumps use the earth to provide heating, cooling, and hot water for buildings. Geothermal.
May I have the definition?
Of or relating to the heat of the earth's interior.
May you please repeat the word?
Geothermal.
Geothermal. GEOTHERMAL. Geothermal.
I'm Ray Alexis Rafanon from Shirakawa Elementary School.
Mahi mahi. The server announced that today's special was mahi mahi marinated in a soy ginger sauce. Mahi mahi.
Can I have the language of origin?
It's from a Marquesan, Tahitian, and Hawaiian word.
Can you please repeat the word?
Mahi mahi.
Mahi mahi. MAHI MAHI. Mahi mahi. I'm Leah Ning, and I'm from Challenger School, Harwood.
Rucksack. Martina's rucksack was packed to its limit with paperback novels.
Rucksack. 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 Rucksack.
Hi, I'm Emma Lenchenkova, and I'm representing Maryhill Milpitas School.
This word has a homonym. I'll be providing additional information for you. Llama. It's a noun. It means any of several cud-chewing mammals of South America, related to the camels but smaller and without a hump. The llama thrives on the alpine grasses native to Bolivia, Peru, Chile, and Argentina. Llama.
May I have the language of origin, please?
It's from a word that went from Quechua to Spanish.
Llama. L-L-A-M-A. Llama.
I'm Samika Swami, and I'm representing Challenger School Sunnyvale.
Dungaree. Trousers made of dungaree are very practical for outdoor work. Dungaree.
Could you please repeat the word?
Dungaree.
May I please have the definition?
A heavy, coarse, durable cotton twill woven from colored yarn, specifically blue denim.
Are there any alternate pronunciations?
No.
Could you please repeat the word?
Dungaree.
Dungaree. D-U-N-G-A-R-E-E. Dungaree.
Hi, I'm Ojas Vatsiayan, and I'm representing Weibel Elementary School.
Belladonna. Grandfather told Joey that the 5-foot-tall plant alongside the path was a belladonna and warned him not to touch it. Belladonna.
Can I have the definition, please?
An old-world poisonous plant of the nightshade family having purple or green bell-shaped flowers, glossy black berries, and roots and leaves that yield atropine.
Can you repeat the part of speech? I mean, can you say the part of speech?
It's a noun.
Okay. Can you give me the language of origin?
It's made up of two elements that went from Latin to Italian.
Can you repeat the word?
Belladonna.
Belladonna. B-E-L-L-A-D-O-N-N-A. Belladonna.
Hi, I'm Manisha Nair from Pioneer Elementary School.
Fathom. The fathom has been replaced by the meter on British Admiralty charts. Fathom.
Fathom. F-A-T-H-O-M. Fathom.
Hi, I'm Bradley Chang from Clarendon Elementary.
Chutney. Spicy or sweet chutney is sometimes eaten with Indian meals containing curry. Chutney.
Chutney. C-H-U-T-N-E-Y.
I'm Sadie Senator representing the Hamlin School.
Fidelity. When taking the oath of office, the President of the United States pledges fidelity to the Constitution. Fidelity.
What's the language of origin?
It's from Latin.
Fidelity. F-I-D-E-L-I-T-Y. Fidelity. Hi, my name is Tia S. Ghoshal, and I'm representing Stratford Elementary, Fremont.
This word has a homonym, Kona, a noun meaning a storm of southerly or southwesterly winds and heavy rains in Hawaii. Typical wave heights during a Kona are from 10 to 15 feet with an interval of 8 to 10 seconds between each wave. Kona.
Can you repeat the word?
Kona.
Can I have the definition?
I just gave it to you. It's a storm of southerly or southwesterly winds and heavy rains in Hawaii.
Kona. K-O-N-A. Kona.
My name is Bridget, and I go to Basis Independent Fremont.
Rehearse. The actors will rehearse the play every Tuesday and Thursday evening for the next 4 weeks. Rehearse.
R-E-H-E-A-R-S-E. Rehearse.
My name is Nikita Raman, and I'm from Hillbrook School.
Hassock. Phyllis decided to purchase the wing chair with the matching hassock. Hassock.
Language of origin, please.
Originally English.
Hassock. H-A-S-S-O-C-K. Hassock.
Hello, my name is Carrie Sun, and I'm from Oster Elementary, San Jose.
Seersucker. Ben owns 2 suits made of seersucker. Seersucker.
May I please have the definition?
A durable, plain woven fabric, usually of cotton or rayon, having stripes alternately flat and puckered.
Seersucker. S-E-E-R-S-U-C-K-E-R. Seersucker.
Hi, I'm Joshua Tin from Zion Lutheran School in San Francisco.
Hypothesis. Gail's hypothesis about the origin of the sand in her backyard proved to be correct. Hypothesis.
Hypothesis. Hypothesis. Hypothesis.
Hi, I'm Amit Vasantha, and I'm from Basis Independent, Silicon Valley.
Dearth. The general realized that his army was suffering from a dearth of self-confidence. Dearth.
Dearth. May I have the language of origin, please?
Originally English.
Dearth. D-E-A-R-T-H. Dearth.
I'm Josh Vager, and I'm representing St. Cecilia's School.
Homonym. A spelling bee pronouncer will tell you if the word you are spelling is a homonym. Homonym.
Homonym. H-O-M-O-N-Y-M. Homonym.
I'm Ashwin Surya from Challenger School, Berryessa.
Jovial. The jovial chef made cooking look easy and enjoyable. Jovial.
Jovial. May I have the definition?
Characterized by or showing marked good humor, especially as exhibited in mirth, hilarity, or conviviality.
Jovial. J-O-V-I-A-L. Jovial.
I'm Rishik Gandasri from Silver Oak Elementary School.
Powwow. A Cherokee from Arkansas performed a ceremonial dance during the annual powwow sponsored by the Native American Student Association.
Powwow.
Powwow.
Can you give me the definition?
A North American Indian ceremony as for the cure of disease, success in hunting, victory in war, often accompanied by great noise, feasting, and dancing.
Can you give me the language of origin?
Algonquian.
Powwow. Are there any alternate pronunciations?
No.
Powwow. P-O-W-W-O-W. Powwow.
My name is Dhruv Kannan, and I'm from the Delphi Academy of Campbell.
Dracula. Chris doesn't seem to realize that his boss, who emails him at all hours of the night, is a Dracula. Dracula.
May I please have the definition?
One who maintains a relationship like that of a vampire toward another by sapping his or her physical or emotional strength.
May I please have the language of origin?
It's from an English literary name.
D-R-A-C-U-L-A. Dracula.
My name is Vayun Krishna, and I'm representing Challenger School, Middlefield.
Polymer. Fascinated by the polymer they had created, the students tossed it from one side of the lab to the other. Polymer.
May I have the definition, please?
A natural or synthetic chemical compound or mixture of compounds consisting essentially of repeating structural units.
Can I have the language of origin?
It's from Greek.
Polymer. Polymer. P-O-L-Y-M-E-R. Polymer.
I'm Valerie So, and I'm from Our Lady of Grace Catholic School.
Finale. Von Weber introduced an Arabian melody in the finale of the first movement of one of his pieces. Finale.
Finale. F-I-N-A-L-E. Finale.
I'm Alexis Sigwa from Mosley Trinity School.
Condor. Of all the birds at the zoo, the Andean condor is Allison's favorite. Condor.
Can I have the language of origin?
It's from a word that went from Quechua to Spanish.
Condor. C-O-N-D-O-R. Condor, condor.
I'm Franklin New from Stratford School, Pleasanton campus.
Predicate. The class assignment was to underline the predicate in each of several sentences. Predicate.
Can I have the definition?
The part of a sentence or clause that expresses what is said of the subject and that usually consists of a verb with or without objects, complements, or adverbial modifiers.
Predicate. Predicate. Predicate.
I'm Abhinav Bala, and I'm from Shibuya Middle School.
Sultan. The Sultan of Oman advised that negotiation was the best way to solve the Iranian issue. Sultan.
May I have the definition?
A king or ruling sovereign, especially of an Islamic state.
Sultan. Sultan. Sultan.
And we've reached the end of round one. Are we ready to proceed to round two? I believe we are.
Actually, Stan, we're going to take just a little bit of a break. We had 44 spellers up. 44 spellers will be coming back, but in round two, the words get harder. The CBS Bay Area Regional Spelling Bee will be back in a minute.
Evie, champion of the spelling bee. Words are good, words are great. Evie can